A very worrying decision made, I think, in Westminster yesterday that served only really to show the scale of the change we need to see at the next election, at a time when, of course, you'd have to be pretty ignorant not to see that clearly some of the people that have been allowed into this country via small boat are dangerous. In fact, this, yet another example that we've seen, very, very sad, in Derby, where someone walked into a bank and stabbed a man inside to death without provocation or motive. Had arrived here on a small boat after spending years in Europe. Had been in Italy, France, Germany, Luxembourg and the Netherlands, but we allowed into this country via boat. Murdering a poor man in broad daylight. They claimed asylum. That was rejected by the Home Office. But guess what? He appealed, and that was under review at the time of this killing. This monster previously arrested, calling English people white racists. That's the sort of people we now have in this country. And Nigel Farage trying to do something about this in terms of leaving the ECHR, which clearly is stopping us deporting people. You've got this ridiculous opposition from the likes of the Liberal Democrats who, of course, as they always do, worship the EU and talk about the Dublin Convention as being a real deterrent. And this being shamefully not challenged by mainstream media because, as the likes of Andrew Neil are pointing out now, this argument is absolute nonsense because if you actually look at the numbers under the Dublin Convention, guess what? Surprise, surprise, this country was a net recipient of people by a country mile. But look, Nigel Farage putting forward his bill to leave the ECHR and, of course, heavily defeated, though you did see the likes of Suella Braverman and Robert Jenrick co-signing the ECHR withdrawal bill. And I want you to watch this clip, and it's not just about here what Nigel is saying, as important as that is. Just look at the behaviour and the attitude of the MPs around Nigel. I think it underlines once again at the next election why we need a massive clear out and we need a reform government and a huge number of reform MPs packing the Commons.
Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to make provision for the United Kingdom to withdraw from the European Convention on Human Rights and to make further provision in connection with the withdrawal of the United Kingdom from that convention. In many ways, this is unfinished business. On June 23rd, 2016, in the biggest democratic exercise in the history of these islands, the British people, despite being told by all the businesses and all the trade unions and much of the press and most of this House, managed, despite everything, children be quiet. managed.
Order. I will be responsible for maintaining order in this chamber. Nigel Farage.
Yes, Madam Deputy, I'm sure you will allow me the opportunity to continue to try and say something without such constant interventions, and I thank you for that. And we voted clearly by a massive margin for the British people to bring back the sovereignty. And by the way, what makes me laugh about this isn't just the sovereignty of this country, it's the sovereignty of this very chamber and the people within it to bring power back to this very place, and that is what we voted for. And of course, one of the most important subsets, one of the biggest reasons for that vote to happen was the deep alarm at the huge numbers of people coming into our country. The fact that effectively we had open borders, making us poorer in every way. Now, of course, our membership of the European Council, of the European Convention, and then its writing into British law in 1998 kind of enshrined this, and it's what I think Tony Blair wanted us to do. Now, I believe that Brexit cannot be complete, all the while we're subject to a foreign court and frankly, a piece of legislation brought in by the Blair government upon which judges can choose their own political interpretation. We are not sovereign, all the while we are part of the ECHR, the European Council and its associated court. It's as simple as that. And do you wonder, it's marvellous to see the intellectual levels of debate in this place, it really is. Do you wonder that out in the country there is growing frustration?
Order. Can I remind members that the honourable gentleman has a 10-minute rule bill in front of this House and should be listened to without interruption? Nigel Farage.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I was talking about fear growing in the country, anger growing in the country. I sense there's also a bit of that growing in this chamber as well. We do not believe, I do not believe, that it is right that we should, when it comes to controlling our borders, when it comes to who should be able legally to live, work and settle in this country, or indeed who should not be allowed to stay in our country, for this to be under the remit, firstly, of judges in Strasbourg, who, by the way, are jurists, most of them not even legally qualified, and secondly, under the political control of judges in this country who now can make their own interpretation of what we've understood for many, many years to be British common law. This bill intends to restore the power of this Parliament, the power of all of you as MPs, to actually be in control of the things that really matter most to all of your voters, whether they supported you or not. This bill intends to return British common law and to bring back some ideas, rather than state-given rights, of birthrights, of liberty and freedom. These are things that over centuries served our country far better than any other nation in the European continent. This is about liberty, it's about freedom, it's about democratic control. And just think of this. Whatever election result there is, even if 650 of us wanted to change rules on who can come across the channel and who can stay, we could be overruled by a convention we signed up to in 1998. We could literally, don't shake your heads, we could literally be overruled. Literally be overruled. So this is about sovereignty. This is about sovereignty of the country. It's about sovereignty of our Parliament. It's about our voters being able to choose the future course and direction of our own country. And that is why this matters.